with Good Morning Bay.
Get to know about the traffic on your way and what's news around the world today.
Some wisdom skills along the way.
Oh, and a song to hum along with and sway.
Get your perfect entertaining start to the day.
At 9 a.m. every weekday morning with
Mahima's
Good Morning Bay.
Good morning, Bay. आप सभी लोग हमारी तरफ से एक प्यार भरा नमस्ते,
नमस्कार,
वनकम,
नमस्कार,
खुशामदीद,
सलाम अलैकुम,
सत श्री अकाल,
మీకు అందరికీ వందనము,
जय स्वामी नारायण,
जय श्री कृष्ण।
जनेंद्र
हमारे इस्माइली भाई बंधुओं को बोल दे याली मदद।
मलाली मदद बोलते हैं सारे फीजी मतलब बोलेंगे निशान बोला बनजान। हम आ गए हैं आपके प्यारे महिमा के द्वारे। मैं सिर्फ फालतू बाबा
And of course, myself, Altu Rani, लेकर आपके लिए go drive time. That's going to be totally exciting and totally mastani. It's a wonderful Wednesday, Bandujan.
That's right, Bandujan. Of course, आज Wednesday के दिन आप सोच रहे हैं यार, what is the thing on the traffic? Well, December 1st हो गया, Bandujan first ये grasp कर लो. The whole year is gone. छोला गच्छे. It has gone out the window, Bandujan. Yes, we are in November खत्म हो गया, December आ गए हैं, तो मतलब another 1 month is going to be now is going to be 2022 for 20. Let me tell you, Bandujan, let's quickly take a look at what's happening on the roads. सस्ते का हाल आप लोग हम लोग देते हैं टोटल सस्ते में, तो here you go.
It's time for the Bandu Traffic Update. Call us from wherever you are at 408-912-2479.
That's right, Bandujan. 15 दिन और ठहरेगा, फिर से holiday season आ जाएगा आप लोगों को, and you will be going on holidays, I suppose, and welcome in the new year, I guess. But yes, what is the repercussion of what happened with the holidays which recently went by? I don't know. We're going to wait for the reports for the Bandujan, because the US is now trying to track omicron virus, what's happening with the spread and everything. You already might be knowing that there was a little bit of not a little bit of it, actually it was a ban on a few entry to some of the people coming from different parts of the world, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes for sure. But right now let's talk about what's keeping us on the roads for sure, Bandujan. Traffic hazard on San Antonio on southbound 101 in Mountain View area, slowing down traffic over there, but seems to be clearing up, at least what I see on the camera, Bandujan. But they do report there's a little hazard there. Speaking of traffic hazards, 92 eastbound, east of the San Mateo Bridge, the high rise in the Foster City, Bandujan, there actually is the right shoulder is affected there because of a hazard on the road, and some delays in the north portion, Bandujan. This is on the southbound 101 north of Poplar Avenue, San Mateo. The right shoulder seems to be affected there, but does not tell you exactly what is the reason. Is it an accident or there's some debris on the roads? I'm not sure. But drive very carefully. That's the only message for you guys, Bandujan. And yes, week, weather-wise, look at it, like it was a totally nice week for us. Supposed to be a nice week for us. But we might have some clouds setting in day after tomorrow. Today being a Wednesday. Friday, Saturday, probably we'll have some clouds in the air. But no rain. So not worry about that part, Bandujan. So that's something you can always stay happy that no, it's not going to be raining, it's not going to be slushy outside, it's going to be nice. Cold weather, yes, but of course make sure you're layering up and everything. And it's going to be a nice weather for us all week, Bandujan. And that's all I have for you guys in terms of what's happening with the weather and traffic. Now, Faltani, the question is, are you going to share with us what's happening with the news?
Yes, Altu Baba, I am going to share with you what's going on in the United States, across the nation. Yesterday was another horrible day because in Michigan, for those of you who are following the news, you must have heard of the deadly school shooting that happened.
Oh my God, one more?
Yeah, a sophomore in high school actually killed his classmates and a teacher. And investigators are reviewing video and reading writings of a 15-year-old boy on Wednesday as they sought clues to what drove him to go on a deadly shooting spree at his high school north of Detroit, where he killed 4 fellow students. The 3 people, actually right now the 4th person also has succumbed to the injuries. A 4th person has died and 8 more are seriously injured after this mass shooting at Oxford High School in Oxford, Michigan. All 4 who were killed and most of the wounded were students. The suspect, a 15-year-old sophomore at the high school, was taken into custody as police arrived on the scene. His parents have hired an attorney and have not let him talk to the police, authorities said. The weapon recovered by law enforcement at the scene, a 9mm semi-automatic pistol, was bought Friday by the suspect's father, authorities said. Investigators have a tremendous amount of video footage to examine as they work to gather more information about the incident, and they're also looking at the suspect's social media accounts. Today, activists are gathering around the Supreme Court, Banajan. Now, if you're not sure why, well, remember the abortion rights bill, the Roe v. Wade, that is going to be called into question. Carrying signs and playing music, hundreds of people favoring and opposing abortion rights staged dueling rallies in front of the U.S. Supreme Court on Wednesday as the 9 justices considered a case that could overturn the landmark 1973 Roe v. Wade ruling that legalized abortion nationwide. And the Supreme Court will hear arguments in a case that could result in this particular Roe v. Wade decision being overturned. The Mississippi law at issue bars most abortions after 15 weeks of pregnancy, a standard that actually violates legal precedents set by the 1973 decision. Several such laws have been enacted across the country recently with the aim of getting the Supreme Court to hear a direct challenge to Roe. A similar law in Texas that drew widespread condemnation was allowed to go into effect in September, despite surprising skepticism from some conservative Supreme Court justices. That law is also before the court. While the High Court's decision on both these laws could curtail abortion access in several ways, conservative legislators have long tried to get Roe overturned altogether. By one estimate from the pro-abortion rights Serum Institute, 26 states are certain or likely to ban abortions if this precedent is overturned, is what they're saying. And speaking of legislature, let's tell you that a Democratic politician, Stacey Abrams, is bullish that the U.S. Congress will pass 2 key bills to protect voting rights, even though her party has already failed to advance voting rights legislation 4 times this year. And if you'd like to get more information about that, you guys can go to mediamahima.com. The United States and other nations across the world are hardening travel rules over Omicron, and the European Union is urging vaccination. The United States ordered airlines to hand over names of passengers from South African countries hit by the Omicron COVID-19 variant, and other countries tightened their borders as European leaders urged people to prepare for the worst. World Health Organization officials said 24 countries may have reported cases of the variant so far, but that some of the early indications were that most were mild and none severe. WHO Regional Emergency Director Richard Brennan encouraged social distancing measures nevertheless, warning against complacency and also COVID-19 fatigue. Staving off Omicron, while scientists establish how easily it can spread and whether it can evade vaccine protection is, quote, a race against time, the president of the European Union's Executive Commission said, emphasizing the role of vaccines. There is some news that's coming with regard to what the United States CDC is doing to collect data on Southern Africa passengers over the COVID variant. The U.S. officials ordered airlines to disclose passenger names and other information about those who have been recently in 8 Southern African countries and will give it to local and state public health agencies, according to documents seen by Reuters. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, told airlines in a letter late Tuesday that they must turn over names and contact information for any travelers who within 14 days have been to Botswana, Eswatini, Lesotho, Malawi, Mozambique, Namibia, South Africa and Zimbabwe, citing the emergence of the Omicron variant of the virus that causes COVID-19. And Moderna could face a patent infringement lawsuit over its COVID-19 vaccine after a federal appeals court on Wednesday rejected its challenge to patents belonging to Arbutus Biopharma Corp. For more on that, again, you will need to go to mediamahima.com. In local news, Panajan, San Jose is going to be installing something called a network of license plate readers to help deter retail thefts. San Jose is sending a message to would-be retail thieves with the installation of license plate readers at select locations across the city. City leaders aim to deter smash and grab retail thefts and solve such crimes with a network of cameras. The only question is where the devices will go and how they will be used. The council approved spending $250,000 in federal relief funds to increase the number of license plate reading cameras in the city. Some license plate readers have been operating in San Jose for the past few years. Gilroy police are investigating an attack on a 9-year-old autistic boy. In the early morning hours, Monday, two men, one of whom was in a relationship with the boy's mother and lived in the house, battered the child while he was asleep, police said. Both men then fled the scene, police said. Officers responded to St. Louis Hospital at about 2:10 a.m. to speak with the young man. The victim's mother told officers that she believed one of the men was her ex-boyfriend who still lived in the home. Anyone with information with regard to this should contact Officer Freyd at 408-846-0485. Those wishing to remain anonymous can call the Gilroy PD tip line, is what they're saying. Good Samaritan Hospital, who had all those big violations that were happening, right, with understaffing and everything, well, they have corrected their violations and they will not lose their Medicare agreement, is the news that's coming out right now. And in a series on the criminal update right here, Banajan, Scott Peterson, the man who murdered his wife and child, Lacey Peterson, has now been left death row in San Quentin and has been moved to the San Mateo County Jail, officials confirm. He was convicted of killing his wife and unborn son back in 2004. He was transferred Monday morning ahead of his resentencing hearing next week. The California Supreme Court overturned his death sentence last year, saying that the trial judge excluded potential jurors who were opposed to the death penalty. He is fighting his conviction, saying a juror was untruthful when she filled out her juror questionnaire. And finally, let's tell you that the WHO has issued a travel advisory also with regard to the Omicron variant. They're recommending that people 60 and older and those with certain health conditions postpone their travel plans for now. And a Bay Area medical expert said that's going too far too soon. It may not be worse than Delta. It may actually be a silver lining. Dr. George Rutherford, a professor at UCSF School of Medicine, has said it's very preliminary findings, but still something to feel positive about when it comes to the Omicron variant, even while Delta still proves to be menacing. That was news from across the United States and also locally here in the Bay Area. Banajan, we'll have world news for you shortly, but before that, here's a Beach Mein Gaane Ka Kida.
And of course, Bajan, here's a Gaane Ka Kida which you might like, you might not like, but nevertheless, enjoy this.
टूटेगा नहीं तुम पर हम हैं अटके यारा दिल भी मारे झटके हो क्योंकि तुम हो हटके
अरे बच के रहना प्यार में पड़ जाए ना तुझको हटके हो क्यों मेरे पीछे भटके
Tennis backseat competition Bandajan. For the movie Pagal Pante का देखा है तो I don't know if it's a good movie. I have not seen it for sure Bandajan. लेकिन ये गाना और थोड़ा बजेगा आप लोगों के लिए. But right now Bandajan, it's time for us to go check out what's happening in the world. Fatoni, are we ready?
Yes, we are, Altubaba. The United States is issuing Russia a stern warning to pull back from Ukraine or face painful sanctions. The United States on Wednesday told Russia to pull back its troops from the Ukrainian border, warning that a Russian invasion would provoke sanctions that would hit Moscow harder than any imposed until now. And also, for those of you who are wondering about the immigrant situation at the Polish border, Lithuania is mulling a state of emergency on the Polish border just to stop migrants from crossing the border. Lithuanian government said on Wednesday that it would ask Parliament to declare the state of emergency on its border with Poland from December 10th as part of its efforts to prevent the smuggling of migrants. Nigeria has confirmed first Omicron cases in airport arrivals in the past week, but amended an earlier statement to say the travelers had arrived in Nigeria only over the past week. In news from India, Banajan, let us tell you that the defending champions India beat European giants Belgium in a solitary goal to progress to the semi-finals and keep alive their title hopes in the FIH Junior Men's Hockey World Cup at the Kalinga Stadium here in India on Wednesday. India, who beat Belgium 2-1 in the final en route to their title triumph in the last edition in Lucknow in 2016, continued their domination over the European side in junior hockey. Darshan at the Kashi Vishwanath temple now could take just 30 minutes of wait time as per the UP government. Standing in queues for hours for darshan of the Kashi Vishwanath will soon be a thing of the past, and pilgrims will be able to get the darshan of the deity in less than 30 minutes, with the UP government working on an IT-based solution to streamline proceedings at the famous temple, with the first phase of the corridor project to be inaugurated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on December 13th. Those seeking darshan will get a coupon that will specify the gate where the pilgrims need to reach just a half an hour before the schedule. The second phase, which involves the redevelopment of the banks, the ghats of Ganga, will be ready by January next year. Divisional Commissioner of Varanasi, Deepak Agarwal, said as planners visualize a huge inflow of pilgrims once the revamp work gets completed. He said that they have hired an IT company that is working on solutions based on algorithms of footfalls on peak, non-peak and other special days. The firm is also working on taking into account how many people can be facilitated per hour from letting them enter, visiting the Garbhagriha, and then how they exit. Isn't that cool?
Nice.
Yeah. Also, how India has leaped up the list of best places to be around COVID, during COVID. India valued 19 spots in, India actually vaulted 19 positions on Bloomberg's COVID resilience ranking of the best and worst places to be amid the pandemic, making a turnaround for a country that saw the world's fastest growing COVID outbreak earlier this year. The South Asian country is now ranked 26th in the monthly snapshot, which measures where the virus is being handled the most effectively with the least social and economic upheaval. The league table assesses 53 major economies on 12 data points related to virus containment, the economy and opening up. India's improved showing is largely due to the rapid economic reopening after daily infections dropped and an initially sluggish vaccination drive picked up steam. The country has now administered more than 1 billion doses. And in another in news from Bollywood, Bandajan, actress Sarah Ali Khan, who is known for her humble nature and charming personality, is winning hearts yet again after she was seen apologizing to media persons for being pushed by one of the bouncers at an event. It so happened during her interaction with the paparazzi, one of the photographers clarified to her that it wasn't her personal bodyguard who pushed them. Sarah immediately defended her bodyguard and assured the photographers that she knows that her bodyguard would never do anything like that. She said in Hindi, which loosely translates to "It can't be his fault. Ye kabhi nahi karenge aisa." She's supposed to be somebody who, who always stands up for the people that work with her. And of course, Altu Baba is now really looking forward to a movie that's coming out of Sara Ali Khan, in which she's playing a very different kind of character.
It's called Atrangi Re. The movie name only got my attention.
And we're not getting paid to promote this, Manajan, but he just likes the concept. I hope the movie is good. It is truly Atrangi, which we like. That's all we have time for on this morning's Good Morning Bay. Is there anything you wanted to add, Altu Baba?
That's about it, Badwani. People should have a wonderful evening. And ये गाना सुनेगा, enjoy कीजिएगा. मिलेंगे हम लोग आपको शाम में बजन 5 बजे with our Pam Pam show. तब तक के लिए गाना सुनेंगे, enjoy कीजिएगा.
अरे हम तो कसम से है तेरे दीवाने